This interview is being presented by Intimidation Clothing. Impose your will. Uncivilize. Don't talk about it. Be about it. Be a beast among men. Adrenaline Training Center. Up your game. Change the way you train. TheDailyPunch.net. Have you gotten your Daily Punch? Area 51 Fight Gear and MMA Mind Power. Late Night MMA Radio is live Monday and Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Call into the show to win MMA merchandise. www.latenightmma.com. Join the revolution. Tonight.
Well, I trained for about 3 hours, and then my girlfriend made some delicious pork chops. And,
nice.
We've been watching really crappy documentaries about obese people on TLC tonight. It's really lame, I know.
So I'm saving you.
Yeah. It's my girlfriend's turn to pick what we watched.
So before we get going too much into this interview, let's start things off with your last fight in Bellator. How was it?
It was a battle, that's for sure. It was a real back and forth fight, and it's a really good fighter. So, aside from winning, aside from not winning, I'm pretty pleased with my performance, and you can't always, control if you win or lose, but my goal is always just when someone comes out of it, that they're like, man, I was in a fight today,
Yeah, for sure.
So I think I achieved that goal.
Okay, man, so everyone remembers you for your fight with Tim Sylvia. Do you want to recap the fight for the fans?
That fight with Tim Sylvia, it was actually a super heavyweight fight, even though I weighed 255 for it. And, so he was 311 for that fight. And, we just kind of came out. I knew I didn't want to stand there in front of him very much, so we got into a couple exchanges, but I just kept moving off. And then, I clipped him with an overhand right, and I thought it stunned him. And then, I just didn't stop throwing punches until, I chased him across the ring, and eventually he ran out of real estate, and then I caught up with him, and I caught him with 2 or 3 real clean ones, and then, his chin touched the mat, so the ref jumped in.
Hey, man, so right now Tim Sylvia is in the news again. He's on Twitter begging for his job. What'd you think of that strategy to get back with the company?
Well, on the one hand, a lot of it is fan-based, and, if the fans want to see you fight, then, obviously the promotions will bring you in. On the other hand, you could let your fights make fans want to see you fight as opposed to your Twitter posts.
See, my thing is, I don't usually go out yapping about fighters, but I remember Tim Sylvia pushing guys against cages in the UFC years ago and just pinning them there. And it seems to me like a lot of these Twitter followers might not have watched his fights, because Tim was never the most exciting fighter in the world.
Yeah, I remember there was a couple of his 5-round fights that, I'm not trying to be rude, but it's just a true thing. I kind of fell asleep for, parts of them.
Right, I agree with that.
In fairness, I'm fairly desensitized to violence at this point, but that is a truth fact. That thing happened.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, any word on when you'll be getting back into the cage?
Yeah, I just signed my bout agreement for my next fight in Bellator. I can't say anything until they make the announcement, but sure. I think it's going to be a real exciting matchup for me.
Oh, awesome stuff. So you'll be coming back to Bellator later, a few months down the line, right?
Yep.
Okay, good stuff, man. Where are you training right now, and who are some of the guys you're training with?
Actually, I'm training still at Mid-America Martial Arts in Omaha. It's the gym I've been training at from the start. I guess notably Drew Dober, he was just on Ultimate Fighter last Friday. He lost his fight, he lost the decision, so he didn't get in the house. But I'd say that's probably one of the most notable guys I train with. He's a lot smaller than me, so we don't actually train together very often, but he's another recognizable name from my gym.
Okay, man. So, how was your Ultimate Fighter experience?
Obviously, the fight went, probably as bad as it could have gone for me. and I was the first fight up, so I ended up essentially there with nothing to do and no reason to be there, and especially I couldn't train with how bad the cut was for several weeks, and so you're devoid of any intellectual stimulation and you're devoid of any physical stimulation because of the injury.
Right.
And you have no contact with the outside world, no contact with any type of support system. It's honestly, looking back on it, I would do it again just because you got to take the chance to better yourself. But it's definitely one of the low points of my life.
Okay, man, and we've been asking this question of all the guys tonight. What's your opinion of this new format for the UFC, for the Ultimate Fighter?
Oh, the one round?
Not the one round, just it being live.
Oh, I think it'll be more compelling. I think that it gives the fighters like 12 to 13 weeks of being able to be televised as opposed to. I know they typically run the show for like 12 weeks, but you're really only there for like 5.5, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So there'll be more content that way, and I think the show being live is if you look at other successful reality television shows, that seems to be like a main ingredient is that everything happens kind of in real time, and I think that makes it more compelling. So I think from like a business standpoint and getting ratings, especially that it's like the 15th or 16th iteration of the same reality show, I think it's a good move.
A lot of the guys say it's like a prison in there. I read somewhere usually it was about 45 days, so that'd be about 6 weeks. Now it's going 12 weeks. Could you ever see yourself under any circumstance going back into that house?
I personally would not. It's kind of one of those things where, if you're the 3 or 4 guys that get like a long-term deal out of this situation, like pretty much any price you pay is going to be worth it at that point, Yeah. And so you got to kind of take that chance. But yeah, 12 weeks is a long time to be sequestered. I remember with like my 6 weeks, one of my friends had died. You got done and they're like, the Lakers won the championship, Michael Jackson's dead. And, there's, a whole list of, you
that's crazy.
You would believe how much happens in the world, and you just don't know about it. Obviously, I would not compare the actual living conditions to prison, because you live in a mansion and they bring you whatever you want. But,
sure.
In prison, you get correspondence and a TV, So it's kind of a trade-off.
Yeah, for sure, man. I don't know. I think I'd be too paranoid of what my girlfriend's doing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Any amount of doubt you have in that relationship will just eat at you the whole time you're there, that's for sure. Yeah,
okay, man. What do you want to be remembered for at the end of your career?
Just that I'm a fierce competitor, just that, that's what I try to come away with, every time I fight is just wow, that guy can fight. And the guy that fought me is wow, I was in a fight just now, that's, I don't think and more often than not, fighters aren't remembered for their win and loss record. They're remembered for their fighting style and their fighting spirit. And so I would just like to be remembered for that.
Hey, man, what's the hardest part about being an MMA fighter?
For me, the hardest part is, the time period between when you, get on the plane or whatever to get to the venue and when the actual fight starts, that 2 to 3 days where you essentially have nothing to do, but you can't really do anything either, except think about, the 500 different ways that the fight can go. And so much hinges on each individual fight, especially, at this time in my career. The difference between winning and losing is astronomical, especially, say, my last Bellator fight and my Bellator fight coming up, And so there's just, it just gives you too much time to think. But at the same time, it's not like you're going to go on, an all-day sightseeing trip or something like that, because you need to stay after feed and rest up and, you're tapering down. And so just that mental aspect, and a lot of people sometimes ask me, what it's like to fight, and I say, if you've ever been to, a theme park, it's like that, on a bigger scale. You wait in line for, 4 hours to get on the roller coaster, and then you're climbing the hill, and you're like, this is not a very good idea. Why am I on this roller coaster? But, you're strapped in, and it's already left, so you're just on it for whatever it is. And then, while the ride's going, you're, awesome. You're just in the moment, enjoying it for what it is. And then as soon as it pulls back into the stall, you're first thing you think is, I got to do that again. But, you wait for 4 or 5 hours, so you wait for, several weeks, months, or even the days leading up to it, it's just nothing but waiting, idle. And then, you just enjoy it for what it is while it's going on, and then you want to do it again.
Okay, man. Any sponsors you'd like to thank or promote your Twitter or Facebook?
Yeah, you can follow me at Abe Wagner MMA on Twitter, and I have a fan page on Facebook, and I'd particularly like to thank Mark Sisson, author of the Primal Blueprint, for handling all my nutrition needs and diet planning, and the transition to like a primal way of eating has actually been a very big impact in my life and in my performance.
Okay, good stuff, man. Hopefully we talk to you soon after your next Bellator win.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Okay, see ya.